control the vertigo.
Welcome to Anthologic, the TV anthology podcast. I am your host, Mark. Anthologic is a podcast dedicated to exploring the good, the bad, and the odd of horror, science fiction, and the best of mystery suspense anthology shows and series on TV. Join me as we slip through the cracks of reality to approach the extremes of experience, where we can peruse the stories and art of a sinister fairground of strange and wonderful rides. And now we go on to the show that is the focus of this particular episode. Welcome to this episode of Anthologic with your host Mark. Today we are talking about an episode of the Twilight Zone, the original Twilight Zone series from 1959. This is from Season 1, Episode 31, and it's called The Chaser. First aired on May the 13th, 1960. An interesting one because it's the only one, I believe, in the Season 1 where it's not an episode written by either Rod Serling, Charles Beaumont, or Richard Matheson. All the other episodes are written by those people. This one was written by Robert Presnell, based on a shorter story. Actually, the episode was the story was first adapted, and done live on another anthology series called the Billy Rose Television Theatre in 1951. So quite a while before. Now it's based on a shorter, punchier short story called The Chaser by John Collier, which really is just a short story about two people in a room meeting up, buying things. It got expanded for the Twilight Zone episode, and it was basically done as a comedy episode. It's a fun one. It is a fun one. It's kind of a guy is in love with a woman. He phones her up and she's really not interested. Her name's Leela. But he's kind of obsessed with her, and in Rod Serling's introduction they mention, he's young, early 20s, his occupation is being in love, but madly in love with Leela, who basically doesn't even really acknowledge him, and finds him a bit tiresome, really. She puts up with him. And he's kind of freaked out, and he's going to phone, but in the meantime we see it. There's some comedy business where a man's trying to get higher in the queue to use a phone booth. He's offering everyone $1 to move up in line until he gets right to the front when there's an old lady just first in line, and she says, well, first in line's worth more than the third in line, and she forces him to give $2. Anyway, she hangs up. The man kind of butts in as soon as he is aware the phone call is over, and but our man, Roger Shackelforth, insists that he must phone her back to make sure she's all right. Anyway, he goes, you're after a woman. I know how to do that. And he gives him this address. He goes, this man will sort you out. And he goes to this address, and it's like an old shop. And it's like an old man called Professor A. Demon. Yeah, what a name. And he goes in. It's like a book library, bookshop kind of thing. And apparently there was a bit of business in this. The script was a little flat for the Twilight Zone, so the director came up with this thing where he wanted to build this high bookcase, but kind of backlight to it, gauze, and do it quite an unusual looking bookcase, so almost like the book stood out. And the director was very happy because apparently he proposed this to the production company, to producers, and sort of said, and it was going to cost quite a bit, but they were like, sure, go ahead, that sounds great. And he thought it was very liberating. And he actually describes it as one of the great things about the Twilight Zone, working on the Twilight Zone. Particularly liked it. Anyway, he talks to this professor who sells him a love potion, powerful love potion, for $1. And he says, you sure you just don't want glove cleaner? He keeps going on about glove cleaner. He goes, it's odourless and tasteless and all this, and no, and the man Roger's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I want the love. Anyway, he manages to go back to see Lena and entice her into a glass of champagne where he puts the love on, and she instantly falls in love with him. Next cut is very funny. We see him reading a book, and then as he moves the book down, we see her looking at his feet, with her head on his knees, looking at him lovingly. She's obsessed with him, and they are clearly married, and she's obviously doting on him, and he's already tired of it. Men. So he doesn't know what to do about it. They've been married for 6 months apparently. It's not that clear in the watch story, but in the notes it says that. So he goes back and says, "How can I do this?" And he basically says, "You want the glove? You want the glove cleaner? It's $1,000, which is all of Roger's savings." He goes, "Now," and he reassures him it's odorless, tasteless, undetectable, but has to be used immediately. And if you fail to use it immediately, you can never have it again. And then, as Roger leaves, the professor says, "First the stimulant, then the chaser." Sense the name. So it's not just he's a chaser of the woman. They're talking about a chaser like a drink that goes alongside another drink, that sort of thing. Anyway, again, he gets some good champagne out, and he puts basically the poison in a drink, and he sort of offers it to her, and he's looking very perturbed anyway. He's not really comfortable. Then she holds up, "I've got a surprise for you." She holds up a knitting needle with a booty on. She's pregnant, and he just drops the glasses. And he does say, as she's kissing him, "I couldn't have gone through with it anyway." As it pans out, the scene pans out, we see the balcony outside their apartment, and we see Professor A. Demon sitting nicely on a little bench outside. It's in a cool evening, apparently. He's smoking a cigar, and he puffs out a little smoke ring, which turns into a heart, and then slowly floats away and then fades out. That's it. It's a comedy episode, and we've already had one episode in this season where the devil basically is selling a sort of something to someone, and it's a trick called Escape Clause. This is another one of those. It's a fun one. There's some kind of cool effects. The smoke ring was a cool effect. It's goofy and lightweight. It fitted in quite well. I quite liked it. Some of the reviews put it as very, throwaway and stuff like that, but I thought it was kind of fun, and I quite liked it. And I sort of see this is the sort of thing that Rod Serling would be fine with, actually, because it was a reasonably developed story. As I say, the short story apparently is even punchier. I wouldn't mind getting to that. Apparently, it was also adapted into a story within the Tales from the Crypt comic in 51, and it was called Love to Death in that one. And it was also readapted in the 90s Tales from the Crypt anthology series, where it was also called Love to Death. Well, that one starred Andrew McCarthy, the guy that was in the original Invasion of Body Slappers, and Muriel Hemingway. Interesting. I thought this was kind of fun and punchy. I quite enjoyed it. Would recommend. That's how I feel about it. Anyway, I'm going to wind out there. But before I go, may I ask, is anybody out there?
I'm not.
We now return control of your television set to you until next week at this same time, when the control voice will take you to